Hello, friends and lovers, and welcome back to another Hades 2 weapon guide. Today, we're going over the axe, and what you can expect in this video is to A, cover all four of the different aspects and sort of a general game plan you can have when building out these aspects. That should feel really good. Then we're going to go over the hammers and kind of just talk about what's good, what's bad, what's okay, and those kinds of things. Let's get started. All right, so first off, we got Aspect of Male, gain bonus attack power and max health. Attack power and max health plus 50. A lot of people still ask, what is power? How does power work? The simplest answer is to say it's base damage, so base damage is, how much damage you deal with the weapon without anything else on, I guess you could say. So you can see with Aspect of Than, a single strike does 84. There's some things going on here, like we have strength from the Arcana cards that's going to boost that. When you attacked with Aspect of Mel, it's 144, so it's actually plus 60. And again, that's because of some other percentage modifiers we have going on and why it's not strictly plus 50 damage more, because your base damage plus power gets multiplied by those percentages that you can gain in a run. Okay, hopefully I explained power a little bit. Let's talk about the actual aspect, shall we? Or slash the axe itself here. So with Aspect of Mel, yeah, you'd probably want to go for like a simple bonk build here with your basic attack and do a lot of this, you know what I mean? One of the better hammers you can get is called Dashing Heave, which allows your dash strike to strike twice. So there's a lot of different styles you can kind of go for. You can do dash strike into special, which is kind of a nice combo. It actually doesn't feel bad. I know you don't get any bonus for using the special with this aspect, but let's say you get blitz on your special, it kind of works out, right? You can do something like that. While you're waiting for enemies to spawn, you can still charge up a whirlwind. There was recently sort of a whirlwind hate thread on the subreddit, and I definitely vibe with some of the commentary there saying like the whirlwind's bad on the axe, it doesn't deal enough damage, and you just get locked into an animation. You can't drop a cast, you can't dash, blah 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 blah, unless you get particular hammers, And I definitely understand it. It's really, I look at the whirlwind as more so a bonus while enemies are spawning or you're waiting for an invincibility phase. It has really good AoE. But otherwise, you're probably going to be doing a lot of this, you know what I mean? Especially with Aspect of Mel in particular. But, so for boons, Apollo's attack, Aphrodite's attack, they're probably just going to be the best straight up. Hera is still fine, Demeter's still fine. You definitely want a percentage on there since you have such a high base damage with that additional power. We'll go over all of the hammers later, but like Rapid Hack for 30% faster attack speed feels really nice. Psychic Whirlwind is always a really strong hammer with every single aspect we have here, except for, I guess, Charon, of course, which doesn't really use the attack very much. And the other one I want to point out again was Dashing Heave. Your dash strike hits 2 times an area around you. It actually feels really good. So that's what the dash attack looks like normally, right? But doubling that damage, and then you have the attack boon on top of that, and you get an AoE from it. It's actually pretty cool. Now, it's a bit funky. Like, I think it's kind of like glitched or something, where the game doesn't really understand that you're trying to dash strike all the time. It's hard to really describe, and I don't want to get into the weeds because maybe it's intended, I'm not really sure, but you might find yourself like kind of struggling to make Mel do a dash strike when you get Dashing Heave or something like that, but it is still pretty strong, I think. All right, y'all keep pointing out that I never tell you any basic boons after the first couple. You really got to focus on getting origination for every build, right? So you would start with, say, Aphrodite's attack, maybe you can get Rapture Ring later on, maybe Glamour Gain. More percentage boost for Aspect of Mel would be nice since you have, again, such high base damage. So things like Shameless Attitude will feel really nice. Maybe Perfect Image from Apollo as well. And his attack would feel really good, too. You can also get... So Perfect Image requires you not to take damage. So that feels kind of bad, right? We can also get something like Backburner if you get, say, his Dash Boon and Blinding Rush. So that's a good combo right there. And not to mention Extra Dose for this particular aspect feels pretty good, too. Your attack has a chance to hit 2 times. It's not the most spectacular boon, I think, but it's pretty fun. It's fun. Gets increased by Hermes' success rate if you can get that going on here. Long-term builds, I don't know. It's a simple one, right? So I don't know if I really have this like not a particular like legendary or duo boon that's gonna feel really good. Like you can think about Aphrodite, Poseidon's Island Getaway, but if you're just using the attack, it shouldn't be necessary at all. Moving on to my favorite aspect for the axe, Aspect of Charon. Your cast erupts like a stronger Omega cast if struck by your Omega special. Cleave cast size and damage plus 30%. Just to be clear, because this question comes up a lot, this does not work with the Knight Arcana card. It does not consider you using the Omega cast for the purposes of this Knight Arcana card, basically. So there's not much point in really using it. So, all you really do with Charon is you drop a cast, start charging an Omega special, and you drop it. Now, you might notice that I did a little dash there while charging the Omega special. It takes a little bit to get used to, but if you start doing that, this aspect feels way safer. It feels way safer. You can drop the cast and then dash away. Whereas normally, let's say this is your enemy, right? Who's probably going to want to swing in with a move for you. Otherwise, you're going to have to drop the cast and then either start charging and probably get hit a couple times while you're charging it, or you're going to have to drop it, run away, and then, you know, try to drop the Omega Special or something like that, right? It would be awkward if you don't use that. I can understand that this aspect might be a little tough if you don't do that. I'll be honest, I'm using the default control, so I'm just stretching my thumb from the special to the dash for it. So if y'all got recommendations on how to remap the controls to make this easier, because it is something that people can struggle with, I understand. Okay, so let's talk about builds here, because Charon is really, really strong, and there's actually quite a few loadouts that you can go for here in terms of boons. The best cast boons have to be probably Poseidon's title ring to start, so you might want to start with a cast boon here, or you might want to start with a magic regen, probably. So for cast boons, title ring is fantastic. You know, it triggers every time you drop the cast, so those style of cast boons are better since you're dropping the cast more frequently, basically, versus something like Demeter, which does damage over time and is more of a utility-based thing. But even Demeter's is fine. I would say Hera I haven't really had a lot of success with yet, though, at the same time. Storm Ring is always a really nice cast boon for pretty much any build. Apollo shines a little bit brighter than normal here. Not to mention, you want a lot of Apollo boons with this build, so I can definitely recommend Solar Ring is pretty good. The Nova Flourish feels really good with the axe here, right? Because that extra AoE just is huge. It covers like most of the map that way. You could also consider segueing into Apollo's Legendary, which will look pretty crazy. Rapture Ring is still good, just possibly not as good as some others. I will say Anvil Ring, you're interrupting the hammers, is my understanding, so I don't think Anvil Ring is just as high of a priority as other ones. Smolder Ring is okay with this, but not outstanding. Ares, interestingly, recently got a buff, and now currently has the highest base damage of all the casts right now. I haven't actually tried it with Charon since the buff. I will say I don't really love the blade damage builds here, which require you to get certain duos to really start to pop off. So consider this, I don't know, and I don't know for that in particular, basically. So starting with either Poseidon's or Apollo's Keepsake would probably feel good. You know, you could easily go for, I mean, you got to mention Lucid Gain with this, right? Whenever your cast expire, you restore some magic. Boom, solved, you know, absolutely no problem. But there's other magic regens that work here too. And then you just kind of want to look for some cast boons, basically. Prominence Flare. After your Mega Cast expires, rapidly deal damage to the area for 2 seconds of Mega Cast damage, you can see. Supernova also feels pretty good with this. Not always outstanding, but it does feel quite good. But one of the biggest boons you really, really, really want, and like I'm talking like night and day in terms of damage. You can have a strong run without it, but you're going to have an astounding run if you get Geyser Spout. Your Omega Cast gains plus power and knocks foes away. You do have to have a cast boon in order for this to get offered from Poseidon, so make sure you get that. We talked about power, right? So you're upping the base damage of your cast boon, and thus other percentage boons that would affect your cast damage will feel a lot better. Shameless Attitude, Perfect Image. One of the other ones is going to be Demeter's Local Climate. Your Omega Cast deals more damage if you are in the Binding Circle. That bonus is doubled. So, very strong there. You know what I mean? I've gotten a lot of questions, and I think I know the answer to this now. Glorious Disaster, this duo boon here. You can channel more magic into your Omega Cast, repeatedly strike foes lightning bolts, bolt damage 20. So what this is supposed to look like, right? What this dual boon is supposed to do is to make it so basically your Prominence Flare boon, which is a requirement for this, also drops lightning bolts on the enemies, 20 damage every 0.13 seconds. So it almost works with Aspect of Charon, but it doesn't also. Supposedly, from the speedrunning community, they told us that you get like 2 lightning bolts or something out of it, and then no more for some reason. So this dual boon, just never even think about it. I've never had a build where it was worth even considering, I'm afraid. But yeah, that's it. I mean, there's a lot of cast boons to aim for. There's also Arctic Gale from Demeter, too. There's just so many things. So just kind of make a little checklist, you know, for what cast boons you want to aim for, and just have some fun with it, because I think Charon is a lot of fun. Next up, we have Aspect of Thanatos. Your attack is faster, and each strike grants mortality until you take damage. Mortality is plus 2% crit chance for every hit, up to a maximum of 20% bonus. But that crit chance is only for your Omega moves, like your Whirlwind or your Omega Special. Attack speed also plus 40%. Some people say that this aspect is strictly better than Aspect of Mel. I mean, maybe in some ways, but not necessarily, I think. Not necessarily. So this aspect punishes you if you're getting hit a lot, right? Because you lose that bonus that is going to accumulate right next to our magic bar down there. So that's how much crit chance we have. Again, it's only active for our Omega moves, though, so it's not going to work for just our plain attack here. But once we do get it going on, I'm waiting. It does work for all three Omega cast, Omega special, and Omega attack. So ideally what you'd probably want to be doing with this aspect is to build up those stacks to a certain amount and then unleash whirlwinds, basically. This is where whirlwind hammers, namely Psychic Whirlwind, really shine. But really all of them are pretty good. I don't know, Psychic Whirlwind might be the only good one, to be truth be told, but we'll go over that when we get to the hammers. I think this aspect is really good at low fear, but it starts to fall off harder than the average aspect the higher in fear you get. I'm not going to sit here and start spouting out numbers, what counts as low fear, what counts as high fear, or anything like that. But things like when you turn on Vow Frenzy, you know, it starts to feel quite punishing, you know? Like, how do you not get hit in some of these circumstances? And losing that crit chance bonus, you're losing a big portion of what makes the aspect good for that purpose. You know, it is one of the coolest looking aspects, I can give it that. So in other words, what I'm saying is really fun aspect, you know, when you're just having a fun run, but it's actually quite challenging when you're trying to do it, you know, at, who knows, 32 plus fear and stuff like that, I will say. I think it's actually kind of hard. So how do you want to build this out? I mean, very similar to Aspect of Mel, honestly. You just kind of want Aphrodite or Apollo on the attack, I think. You can go for Apollo's Legendary maybe and get double Whirlwinds. That's kind of goofy fun. There's definitely like certain hammers in particular that work really well here. More attack speed does feel pretty good. It does scale quite well with it. Yeah, I don't think there's that much in terms of like diminishing returns. You know, some aspects and certain moves just don't work well with attack or special speed, you know, but Aspect of Than definitely does feel quite nice, you know. So the best hammer is almost 100% Psychic Whirlwind. Your Omega attack fires around you, leaving you free to move and strike at the same time. It's insane, you know. It just means you can both attack, use your regular attack while also whirlwinding, you know. Otherwise, you're just interrupting yourself if you don't have that. That's just absolute insanity. Absolute insanity. Really strong. I don't think there's much else to say about it because it's so similar to Aspect of Mel. You just kind of want to build it out very similarly. You could go for attack power via, like, Slow Cooker from Hestia, but I don't think that's really that big of a deal, I'm afraid, since the base damage is still relatively high on Thanatos, I will say here. But yeah, it's a fun aspect, that's for sure. I mean, sometimes it's simple. Sometimes it's a bit difficult to actually get through a run if you have, like, Rivals 4 on or something. I mean, that's been my experience with it, at least. Lastly, we got an aspect of Nergal. You have the Rock Lion Mace and become Berserk after you strike enough foes. Berserk after 9 strikes. So strikes means attacks or specials, literally any move that from your, you know, Rock Lion Mace, as they put it, that's going to hit enemies. Just doesn't include your cast. So what is Berserk? Sorry if you can't read it exactly here. Your attacks and specials are 65% faster and restore 1 health per foe hit, and it lasts for 8 seconds. There's a couple of hammers that do affect this, that we'll go over a little bit later on. But this is a really, really strong effect. I mean, one of the few instances of healing that you kind of get natively here. It really does make it feel like you can just face tank anything and everything a little bit, you know? It's really cool. I like this aspect a lot, just to be clear. So how do you want to play this aspect? I mean, you kind of just want to whirlwind mostly. There's other ways to play it, but the whirlwinds are just really, really fast. Watch how fast it charges up. 20, boom, it hits really hard. It hits really wide. Put Apollo on the attack for an even wider instance. You're going to have a really, really good run. You don't have to get Psychic Whirlwind like we just discussed, but it definitely feels really good if you do it, and there's a lot of other good hammer options besides that too. Now, I have done some Omega Special builds with this, because it is viable to do the Omega Special thing with it. It doesn't feel quite as easygoing as the Whirlwind, I'll admit, though. And a regular Special build looks something like this. It's just a bit slow, you know what I mean? It's hard to really get it popping, I think. It's not quite as easygoing as using just an attack build, but it's something that you could consider is kind of going back and forth between them, you know, and then you use the Knight Arcana card. It's kind of fun that way. It's just kind of a fun way to do it. You can actually get the Omega Special to kind of keep dropping while you're doing other things, potentially, because it kind of sticks around for a minute after you're done dropping it, right? And you can kind of keep the combat going and flowing. Really cool, really cool. So yeah, I mean, it's a simple bonk weapon, you know what I mean? Aphrodite and Apollo, yet again, attack or special, you know, both really good. Aphrodite has a really, really high modifier on the special. You know, it says 100% at common, which might seem like not much, but if this is heroic, it's 250%. Whereas I think the attack only goes up to like 120 or 140% at heroic, so it doesn't scale as well. This goes up by 50% per rarity. This one goes up by, I think, 20% per rarity. So her special is actually kind of crazy with this, honestly. It feels really good. But her attack still feels really good too. But again, I think I just prefer Apollo's attack in particular for this. That wider area just feels so nice. And honestly, the percentage difference, it might look like a lot, but I feel like it's actually not that much in the long run there. Not to mention, you could, again, be funny and go for his legendary and just get really, really cool double whirlwinds going on. It feels really nice. I mean, that also just makes a lot of sense, too, with the aspect itself where you get that healing for every X amount of strikes that are going on. Oh my god, it just feels so nice. There's really not much else to say here. Just aim for things that boost your attack, you know what I mean? The base damage is quite high already, too, so more percentage-based things that make you strike more often, are going to feel really good because of that berserk, you know, and then you get to strike even more often while it's on. So just looking for ways to kind of activate berserk more often is definitely going to feel really good. All right, let's talk about the hammers. So first off, we got Furious Whirlwind. You channel your Omega attack faster and move 50% faster while it's active. Not great, honestly. It works okay with, like, Than, mostly, because of the faster channeling, but you channel the Omega attack pretty fast with this weapon already. Particularly Nergal. It's like, really wasted on Nergal, I think, because it charges so fast. And then you move faster. You don't attack faster, you don't strike faster, you simply move faster. It's more of a quality of life upgrade than it is, like, a strict damage upgrade in any way. Wouldn't really recommend it most of the time. Sudden Cleaver, you channel your Omega Special 25% faster. Pretty good with aspect of Charon. You do feel it. It's pretty nice. Otherwise, you probably don't want it that much with the other aspects. I mean, it works with Nergal if you're doing an Omega Special build, like we said, but you're probably not taking it super often, truth be told, otherwise. Rapid Hack, your attack is 30% faster. Works really well with Mel, Thanatos, and Nergal. All three of those pretty good. It does not affect your Omega attack. Keep in mind, because it doesn't say attacks. It just says the singular attack, so you just get to whack a little bit faster. But nevertheless, it kind of works with all three of those quite well, you know? Pretty straightforward, right? The final move in your attack sequence hits 2 times, but uses 20 magic. Cannot get it with aspect of Nergal. It's kind of a weird one. This is like a funny build that you can do. Whether or not it's good, yeah, it's hard to kind of prepare a build for this hammer, truth be told. It has like a quote-unquote synergy with Hellsplitter coming up that you'll see. I almost never take it, truth be told, because, I don't know, most of the time I'm not ending up doing a full attack sequence with the weapon, is the truth. And then it doesn't really, it's not usually that bad that it uses that magic, but, I don't know, that last chop just takes forever to really come out is sort of the problem I have with it. So I don't often end up using it. It's usually, if I do take it, it's more so to try to be funny in some way. But again, it has sort of a synergy here. Your attack has 300 power, but the 3 strike sequence becomes only the final chop. So that means that you're only ever doing the final hit of the attack, you know, which means that you can actually make it trigger twice if you also have Executioner's Chop. But the problem is, whichever one of these you end up taking first just often ends up feeling kind of annoying until you get the other one. And then if you don't get the other one, it doesn't feel that great. Hellsplitter I find a little less annoying, or at least more usable than Executioner's Chop as a singular hammer. You know, turning it into a final chop, I mean, it's goofy, it's funny, but I don't know if I consider it very good. There's usually just better hammers have a funny run with. You know what I mean? So if you're just trying to win, I wouldn't really recommend either of these hammers. But if you're trying to have fun, I mean, try them out. Like with everything, just try it out, you know what I mean? Seething Marauder, your attacks also deal 60 damage to surrounding foes for each and every strike. It's good. It's just good. Very simple, you know? This damage, this additional damage that you get, it just feels really nice. I wonder if it actually works with Nergal, because you get an additional hit. Does that count as a strike? I'm going to say no, but I'm not actually sure here, because it says you can get it with aspect of Nergal, but it's a really nice hammer in general to get at any run. Psychic Whirlwind, like we said, your Omega attack fires around you, leaving you free to move and strike at the same time. You can dash, you can drop your cast, you can use your attack, you can use your special, you can do everything, while also whirlwinding. It's amazing, it's outstanding, it's so good, it's ridiculously good, honestly. This is the best hammer for this weapon. I hope there's not much else to say about it. Melting Shredder, each hit from your special deals plus 300 damage armor. It's not bad, it's a pretty good armor shredder, especially since the special with the first 3 aspects is multi-hit. So it hits like 2 or 3 times, I think. And so you really shred through armor quickly with that. It's not bad, you know, it's certainly okay. It's one of the better armor melting hammers on the weapons, I do think. Siege Shredder, your special strikes further and deals 150% damage. I don't think so. I don't think so. I haven't actually tried it with Nergal, I'll admit, in particular. It really does strike out a lot further ahead, but the regular special on the axe just doesn't have a good place. You know, there's no place where this build really feels great, unfortunately. It's just, I don't know, it doesn't really make sense, I think, out there. The base damage is too low, and even with 150% more, I don't know. Maybe if you get, like, Slow Cooker and you manage to up the power of it, yeah, maybe someday I'll revisit it, but generally I don't recommend it. Giga Cleaver, your Omega Special fires 2 times in succession, but uses 15 more magic. Absolutely outstanding with Charon. Easily the best hammer with Charon. There's not a ton of hammers that work well with Charon here, right? I mean, you could take Street Shredder just because it does something with Charon, by the way, in case you get screwed and you don't get offered Sudden Cleaver or Giga Cleaver like we're talking about. But yeah, this is absolutely outstanding. What you can actually do is, with Charon, you drop your cast, you charge your Omega Special. While it's executing the Omega Special, you can squeeze in an extra cast and get 2 cast explosions with 1 Omega Special, which makes sense, kind of, here. What you need to understand is that when you fire, it says it fires it 2 times in succession, right? That succession, it does have a slight delay to it, which is actually worked out to be a bonus for us, right? Because then you can squeeze in the extra cast. It's tight. You got to really mash the cast button, though, but it's absolutely excellent with Aspect of Charon. Dashing, if your dash strike hits 2 times an area around you, it is pretty good. It's a bit jank, is how I would describe it. It's a fun run to try out with Aspect of Mel. It might be one of the very few things that Aspect of Mel has going for it, with a high base damage dash strike build potentially here. So try it out. I don't know if it's really that much fun, though. It's kind of like goofy and a bit hard to really get going. It's not the worst hammer, though. You know, it's still a decent tank even with the Aspect of Thanatos, I think. Colossus Slash. Your attacks have plus 10 power, and you take negative 20% damage while using them. It's nice. I mean, it's okay. Plus 10 power just feels pretty decent, particularly with Thanatos. More so than Mel or Nergal, I would say, because their base damage is already so high. So this feels best with Aspect of Than, and it's fine. It's decent. We got the last 2 with Aspect of Nergal only. Iron Core, your Berserk lasts plus 2 seconds and restores plus 1 health per foe struck. Normally you only get 1 health, now you get 2 health, and it lasts longer. Outstanding. Such a good hammer. Really lets you just face tank everything, honestly. It's kind of absurd, really. This really changes how you might play the game once you get it, and you're doing an Aspect of Nergal run, because you suddenly just, it feels like you just don't got to worry about health so often. It's really good, really good. Heaven Splitter, your attack hits 2 times, but the 5-strike sequence becomes only the first slam. Very similar to, what the hell is that thing called? It almost combined both of these hammers into one, for Nergal in particular, is my understanding, but you don't get the increased power or anything like that. Everyone I speak to hates it, is the truth, right? So maybe take my opinion with a grain of salt, because everyone else I speak to about this hammer absolutely hates it and says it's bad, never take it, ruins a run, stuff like that. I've had like 2-ish runs with it, and it's like, it felt like it actually worked well for me for some reason. It felt like it was just going, you know? That additional speed that you get while you're Berserk makes it so this comes out relatively quickly. You can keep it popping. But yeah, it's probably just not as good as the simple Whirlwind build, you know, but it is funny. I'll give it that. It's fun. All right, that's it for Axe. We got 2 weapons left to go over. We got the skull, and then, of course, we got the coat to discuss in the future videos. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. I got more guide videos linked in the description because I have a playlist linked there. And if you got any questions, make sure you let me know. I'll be happy to try to answer. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video.